Hi there, Ruby Retrograde Tarot and Tea here, and what am I serving up? The 31 Days of Tarot Challenge, Day 4. The topic for today is what are tarot books I read in 2021, and are any of them? Do I recommend them? So without further ado, I bought a couple of books in 2021, but three of them I would say I've used most among all of them. The first one is the 1001 Tarot Spread, which is by Cassandra Eason. This one is not so much one that you read page by page, so it's one of those things. Literally, it says 1,000 tarot spread, the complete book of tarot spread for every purpose, and it is true. There is no lie in that statement. You can have a spread for pretty much any and everything and whatever is in between those 2 points. This is a pretty neat book because it'll give you, the topic of the spread. So for example, a Jupiter spread for sticking with a seemingly endless progression to qualify in a desired profession. It'll show you what the spread looks like. It'll also, give a little bit of background about the spread, so what the purpose is. Then followed by, it'll explain what each of the card position are, what you should use. So depending on the spreads in this book, some of the spread will use the whole deck. Sometimes they'll use just a major arcana, sometimes just a minor, or some sort of combination. And the best day, the best time to do the spread. So in the case of spread number 652, it'd be at a transition point in your studies or training. So I found this a very interesting book. I actually stumbled upon it while I was going shopping at a department store, and so I was not expecting this book to be there. But it's quite an interesting book, and it amuses me, and it still does every time I crack it open. To just kind of sometimes I just want to really open it at a random page and see what's there, or if I have an idea of a topic, to look and see if there's a spread that can fulfill that. But it's just really interesting, and I find I'm using that really for any and everything. There's a spread, like for example, this one, number 535. If a newly divorced neighbor is always asking your partner to go fix things and help out. I mean, how precise is this? Like it happened to somebody that a spread was made for this. So this is one of the first books that I would put in my top 3. Not necessarily that it's number 1 or number 3, but this one I would definitely recommend, especially for those that like to pull cards in a spread form more than just free form. I'm more of a free form person, but I do enjoy a spread. So 1001 Tarot Spreads. The second book, this was a gift, and it's also a reference type book. It's The Mystical Origins of the Tarot by Paul Hewson. This one I find really interesting because for the card, it's almost like an historical background, almost like a genealogy tree for tarot card. So you'll have, what it is you'll have the card in question. So let's say, for example, the Page of Swords. It'll give you just a little background about it. So it'll give you several illustrations sometimes of how it was pictured throughout the years. And then after that, you'll have interpretation from the earliest to the latest. So for example, in the case of that Page of Sword, you'll have Dietea coming from Mathers, Golden Dawn, and Wait. And I find it interesting because sometimes some of the original meanings, or the meaning that was applied first to a card, sometimes it gets a little bit change, and it's interesting to see the change throughout the time, and people that are making their own system based on those previous cartomancy systems. And sometimes it's kind of nice to see that, you know, everybody kind of agreed that this one card means the same. Sometimes people had their own interpretation. But this one is, I find, is a pretty interesting book. So for those that are more historical minded, they like to see a little bit more of a background, and maybe rounding out your interpretation when you're pulling cards, so that maybe you're not, if you sometimes maybe you feel stuck always saying the same kind of interpretation for one particular card, but having a bit more variety in your words or vocabulary, or just, you know, expanding your mind. I would say this might be a good book for you. It's I will say it's a little bit kind of dry. It's a reference book, so, you know, it's not necessarily going to be all exciting and everything, but it's interesting. So, Mystical Origins of the Tarot by Paul Hewson. The third book that I'm putting down my list, this one, I know it's quite popular among a lot of people. In this one tarot group I'm in, a lot of people do enjoy this book. It's Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom, a tarot journey to self-awareness. This one I've read. I can't say that I've read it completely because you can kind of see my my bookmark here. I'm not nearly halfway through. But this one, you can either read it, you know, from beginning to end, or as a dictionary almost of sorts. This, you know, I will say, very interesting. It is, and as much as it was really nice to hear, or to read, I should say, Rachel Pollack's interpretation on the card, and how they explain kind of the historical background and the mystical meanings, and how it came to the card meaning what it means for the Rider-Waite system. It can be dry, and I find, especially when it comes for the major arcana part, you know, there's so much information packed for the cards. You know, this is how it became, and the explanation, and, you know, some symbolism. But it's interesting, but it's dry. But it's interesting, but it's dry, and it's so much that it's part of the reason why I think last I stopped was over at the Wheel of Fortune, and it's one of the reasons, because there's so much packed. To me, I felt like sometimes I had to either reread the page twice, or I just had to, like, I couldn't just sit there and read it as if it was, I don't know, like a novel or anything else, where I could, like, you know, read a novel in a couple hours and that's fine and dandy. This one, you really have to take your time, and if you're any sort of tired, you might miss something, but it's a very interesting book, very complete, very thorough. It goes through the majors, through the minors. It'll say, you know, common upward meaning and a reverse meaning. I will say for the minors, the history, let's call it the history portion, is not necessarily there compared to the major arcana. Well, you'll have pages, you know, consecrated to one card. But I definitely would recommend this to any and everyone. But because it is lots of information packed in the book, I will, you know, warn y'all, it's very thorough. You definitely won't be wasting your money if you buy it, or if someone gives it to you, but it is very dense. So, you know, just take it as it is. So, guys, these are my top three books, I will say, of 2021. Look at this, they're so huge too. I can't even really fit them in the frame, but you see them. 1000 Tarot Spread, Mystical Origins of the Tarot, and 78 Degrees of Wisdom. So I would recommend any of them. You know what, the easiest one to get through probably would be the Tarot Spread, because you can just kind of flick to one page and then be done with it. 78 Degrees of Tarot, there are many editions of it, so, you know, you could grab an older one for not too expensive. And the Mystical Origins of Tarot, this was a gift, so I'm not too much in knowledge of how much it is. It doesn't even say it here, but I think it should be relatively easy to find. So what about you guys? Let me know, what are your favorite tarot related books for 2021? You can write it down in the comment section below, or make your video response and tag it with hashtag 31 days of tarot, so that me and other people like me can go and check it out and view your responses. So with that, thank you for being at, I am tired, so after this, I think I'm going to go to bed. But thank you for watching this video, and until next time, bye-bye.